70-year-old James Harper is suffering from heart failure. Discovered that his son Ethan, who was 25 years old, was his biggest source of pride and delight. Followed in his father's footsteps by enlisting in the U.S. Army and serving his country. James, a former Vietnam War captain, had taught his son a strong sense of patriotism through his stories of valor and sacrifice. Ethan had always wanted to make his father proud, but one day he returned home with the news that he was being sent to Afghanistan as he was getting ready to depart. Ethan hugged him tightly and said, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll make you proud." Neither of them realized it would be their final goodbye. At first, James received regular updates from Ethan, which gave him comfort in the midst of his worry. But then the updates abruptly stopped. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, with no word from his son. James embraced him with a mixture of pride and concern. "Take care of yourself, son. There's a father here waiting for you." James attempted to comfort himself by reasoning that he must be busy, and that it would be difficult to contact from his current location. But 2 months went by with no messages. James's anxiety became unbearable, and he became desperate for answers. He contacted military authorities, but they only gave him the same evasive answers. "We haven't received any information. Please be patient." These meaningless assurances didn't help to allay his fears. On the contrary, they made sleepless nights a norm. With a handmade sign in his hands, James decided to take his fight to public as his heart condition deteriorated due to worry and the nagging thought that something horrible had happened to Ethan. He stood outside the White House and started a one-man protest, with the words, "Where's my son Ethan, give me?" written in bold letters. As James's protest gained attention, passers-by started to pay attention to the distressed man. Some stopped to offer support, while others just watched from a distance. One of Trump's security guards saw him and approached him, saying firmly, "You can't stay here." James refused to back down, his voice filled with anguish, saying, "This is my son. I just want to know where he is. I gave my life to this country, and I deserve an answer." His voice cracked with pain, and then James clutched his chest and fell to the ground, overcome by the strain on his heart at that precise moment. As he got out of his limousine, Donald Trump, who was driving, noticed the disturbance. Thanks to his prompt action, Trump told his team to take James to the hospital as soon as he saw him laying on the ground. James was taken immediately to the hospital, where medical professionals tried to stabilize his condition. James Harper opened his eyes gradually the following morning to the gentle buzz of activity all around him. After his eyesight cleared, he was startled to discover Donald Trump briefly seated at the foot of his hospital bed. James said in a tremulous voice that he believed he was dreaming. Miss President Trump offered a kind and comforting. He leaned forward and put a gentle hand on James' shoulder, grinning. In a calm and sympathetic tone, Mr. Harper said, "I've heard your story, and it's deeply moving. I understand your concerns about your son. Please tell me everything. I want to help in any way I can." James took a deep breath, his throat tight with emotion, and his eyes full of tears as he started to speak. "President Trump," his voice trembling, "as a young man, I was sent to Vietnam, where I served as a captain leading brave men into battles that still haunt me to this day. Many of the men I fought alongside never returned, so every day felt like a farewell. I will never forget the night. We were in an ambush, and my best friend Eric was right by my side as we fought side by side. Then there was an explosion, and he was gone in an instant. I couldn't save him. The blast left me deaf for days, but I kept going because I believe in serving my country." Trump took a deep breath and nodded slowly, Mr. Harper. Trump listened intently, his expression unwavering as James continued his words steeped in sorrow. He remarked, "Your sacrifices are indescribable. What you have endured is the epitome of heroism." "I did it for my country, Mr. President," James said with a small smile, "but now my tale with Ethan is even more difficult. I taught him the value of sacrifice and service, and he wanted to be a hero like me, but I haven't heard from him in months. Ethan is everything to me, Mr. President. I've always been so proud of him, even when he was deployed to Afghanistan, and I supported him despite my fears as a father. However, 2 months ago, the communication stopped. I don't know where he is or if he's even alive, and this uncertainty is tearing me apart." James wiped away a tear from his voice. Trump came in closer, speaking to Mr. Harper in a stern but sympathetic manner. I vow that we will unearth the truth about this, and that I will stop at nothing to find out what happened to Ethan, even though I cannot begin to understand the suffering and confusion you are going through." James gazed up at Trump with thankful eyes. "Thank you, Mr. President. I would do anything to find out what had happened to my son, good or bad. All I need to know is that I must seek closure from his advisors." Trump spoke resolutely, saying, "I want to know everything there is to know about this man's son. This is a priority, and I expect results quickly. Now, Mr. President, I trust you. If there's anyone in this country who can help me, it's you." James replied with a small grin and a steady voice. As he responded, "Men like you who have given so much of this country deserve nothing but our utmost respect and action. Rest assured we will find answers." Trump's eyes showed both resolution and empathy. There was a painful silence in the room. Everyone in attendance was profoundly impacted by James's horrific Vietnam experiences and the sorrow of not knowing Ethan's fate. Trump was clearly moved and left the room with a renewed determination to tell James Ethan's story. This gave James hope, a chance for answers and the potential for peace. A few days later, Trump paid James another visit in the hospital, this time bringing a file with the information James had been anxiously awaiting. As James's hopeful eyes met Trump's, the president reluctantly sat down next to James, opened the file, took a deep breath, and started talking. "Mr. Harper," Trump said softly, "I regret to inform you of some terrible news." James froze when the words, "Your son Ethan was killed in action during a mission in Afghanistan," sank in his face, becoming pale and causing tears to fall down his cheeks. He sat in silence, his heart heavy with sorrow. Trump put a reassuring hand on James's shoulder and spoke to Mr. Harper with genuine sympathy. "James, you had a son who sacrificed his life for his country. He was a hero, and our country will never forget him." His voice was sobbing with passion that he was able to add, "Ethan was everything to me, but if he died for this country, then he died with honor." He placed his head in his hands and let the tears fall freely. "We will make sure that Ethan's sacrifice is remembered and cherished, and his legacy will motivate others." Trump informed James, assuring him that Ethan's bravery will be acknowledged and honored with a national celebration. Trump stated that the heartbreaking news struck a deep chord with James and left an enduring impression. Despite his suffering, James found comfort in the knowledge that his son's memory would live on, encouraging others to value duty, honor, and love for their country. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Join us for more motivational tales that remind us of the strength of sacrifice, love, and perseverance. Ethan's story became a national symbol of ultimate sacrifice and patriotism.